Let me ask you something. If someone asked you right now who your business is for, what would you say? If your answer is everybody, anybody who needs it, or you know what, really anybody in my area, I want you to stay right here because this episode is going to change the way that you think about your business. And I know why you say everybody. And I understand the impulse to want to serve everybody. When you've spent your life being told that there isn't enough room for you, when you narrow down, it feels like you're closing a door that you barely got open. It feels like leaving money on the table, and it also feels risky. Listen, everybody is nobody's customer. When you speak to everyone, you end up connecting with no one. Your message gets watered down, your marketing goes nowhere, and you stay busy without building the kind of business that actually supports your life. Today, we fix all that. Week 7, customer segments. Let's go. I'm Courtney. This is 52 Weeks to Launch, a step-by-step guide to building a real business built specifically for the underserved economy. If you're just joining us, go back to week 1. This series builds on itself and every piece matters. For those of you who have been here, we've done the internal work, your money story, your why, who your community is, and why the system created the barriers you've been navigating. Now we're moving into the business model itself, and customer segments is where it starts. Because everything else, your marketing, your pricing, your services, your brand, everything flows from knowing who you are building for and what problem you are solving for them. There are 2 mistakes that I see marginalized entrepreneurs make when it comes to customers. And both of them come from the same place. Not lack of skill, but a fear response that makes complete sense given what this community has been through. The first mistake is trying to serve everyone. Y'all, and we just talked about why that doesn't work. The second mistake is more painful to name, and it's this. Some of us have decided, consciously or not, that we need to market away from our community, that we need to aim at wealthier customers, different customers, because we've been told that our own people can't afford us, that our community isn't viable. I want to sit with that for a second, because if that belief is running in your business decisions, it's worth looking at. Here's what's actually true. The Black community itself in the United States has over $1.6 trillion in buying power. Latino purchasing power is approaching $3 trillion. Immigrant communities are among the most entrepreneurial active in the country, which means they're buying from each other constantly. Your community has money, and your community spends money every single day. The question is not whether they can afford you. The question is whether you position yourself so that they can find you, trust you, and see themselves in what you offer. Now, there's also a real conversation to be had about pricing, which we'll get to later in the 52 weeks. But I want you to go into this exercise today without the assumption that your own community cannot be your customer, because that assumption may be the most expensive belief in your business. So what is a customer segment? A customer segment is just a specific group of people who share something in common. A problem, a situation, a need, a life stage, and who would benefit from what your business offers. Not everybody, y'all. A specific group of people. Think of it this way. If you sell homemade hot sauce, your customer is not people who eat food. Your customer might be home cooks between 30 and 55 who like bold flavors and buy specialty items for their family. That's a segment. You can find those people. You can talk to those people. And you can build a brand that speaks directly to their life. When you're working on your business model canvas, which we introduced back in week 3, customer segment sits at the right side of the canvas. They are the foundation. Everything else in your business exists to serve them. You need to be able to answer 3 questions about your customer segment. Who are they? Not just the age range. Describe a real person. Where do they live? What is their situation? What do they care about? What problem do they have that your business solves? And I mean a real specific problem, not a general need. A specific frustration, gap, or challenge that keeps them up at night. And why would they choose you? What about your background, your experience, your expertise, your community connections, or your approach that makes you the right person to solve that problem for that specific group of people? Those 3 questions, rewind it back, write it down. We're going to use them in a minute. Here's something I need you to understand about your business that most business courses and coaches never teach you. Your lived experience is the competitive advantage. It's not risky. It's not a liability. It's not something that you have to hide or even work around. Y'all, it's your advantage. Let me say that more specifically for each person in the underserved economy. If you're an immigrant entrepreneur who experienced the confusion of navigating United States banking, business licensing, or government programs, you understand your customer in a way no business school graduate does. You have lived their problem firsthand. That's gold. If you're a restored citizen who came home and figured out how to rebuild, how to navigate through all the background checks, how to find funding with limited credit, how to convince someone to give you a chance. You understand your customer's fear and determination in a way that nobody else can. That's a connection that cannot be faked or manufactured. Now, if you're a woman over 40, and you've rebuilt your finances after divorce, you started over in a career or figured out how to run a household alone while building something for your family, you speak your customer's language because you lived it. They'll trust you faster than they'll trust someone who just read about their situation on a blog or in a book. And if you are an entrepreneur living with a disability who built a business model around your own limitations and found a way to make it work, you know things about accessibility, flexibility, and creative problem solving that your customers desperately need. Y'all, this is not about trauma. This is about knowledge, and knowledge is the foundation of every good business. So when you're identifying your customer segment, I want you to ask yourself this question. Who do I understand deeply because of what I've lived? Start there. Not because you're limited to only serving people like you. That's not what I'm saying. It's because that's where your competitive advantage lives. How can you take that lived experience into the market to better serve the problems of your customer? That's where your business speaks with authority. I want to get practical now. How do you actually define your customer segment when you don't have a marketing budget or a research team or any dollars to waste? Some of us are starting out at completely zero. Here's a 4-step process you can do this week with nothing but a pen and paper and honest conversation with yourself. Step number 1, start with who you've already helped. Think about the last 3 to 5 people who paid you for something, asked for your help, or benefited from what you do. What did those people have in common? What situation were they in? What problem brought them to you? You already have data. It's just in your memory. Step 2, describe one real person, not an average, not a demographic category, one specific person, real or imagined, who represents your ideal customer. Give them a name if that helps. Say Jane. Where does Jane live? How old is Jane? What does Jane's day look like? What keeps Jane up at night? What is Jane trying to build, fix, or change? The more specific you get, the more clearly you will see them in the real world. Step 3, find out where they already are. Your customer doesn't need to be created. They already exist. They're in Facebook groups. They're in community organizations. They're at farmers markets, in church parking lots, in neighborhood apps, in workforce training programs. Where's your customer already gathering? That is where your marketing needs to be. Step 4, test it with a real conversation. Before you spend money on a logo, a website, or a social media strategy, I need you to talk to 3 people who fit your customer's description. Tell them what you do and ask them, does this solve a real problem for you? What would you pay for this? What would make you trust the person offering it? 3 honest conversations will tell you more than 3 months of guessing. There's no budget required, y'all. No degree required. Just some clarity and honesty. Have the conversation. Before we close out, I want to name a few fears I know are sitting in this room right now, because they're real and pretending that they're not does not make them go away. What if my community finds out about my past and it hurts my business? Here's what the data shows. Transparency handled with confidence builds more trust than hiding. Your story, including those hard parts, is what makes you real to people who have lived hard things too. You don't owe everyone your history, but you don't have to be afraid of it either. What if I narrow down and I don't have enough customers? Narrowing down doesn't shrink your market. It focuses your message so the right people, your people, can actually hear it. A clear message to a specific group will always outperform a blurry message to everyone. What if I serve my community and they don't value what I offer? This is usually a pricing and positioning issue, not a community issue. We'll address pricing again later on in the series. For now, I want you to hold on to this. People pay for what they believe will solve a real problem. If they do not see the value yet, that's a communication challenge, and communication is something that we can fix. Your customer is out there and they're looking for someone who understands them. Build your business and products specifically and watch what changes. Quick connection back to the business model canvas from week 3. Customer segments is the first block on the right side of the canvas. Every block that follows it, your value proposition, your channels, your customer relationships, every single one of those answers the question, how do I deliver value to this specific customer? If your customer segment is blurry or unknown, your whole canvas is blurry in a guessing game. Getting this right isn't a small thing, y'all. It's the foundation of your business. And after working with thousands of businesses, this is the most challenging part, knowing who that customer is. So pull out your canvas from week 3. In the customer segments block, I want you to write one sentence describing one specific person who needs what you're building. Not a category, not a group, a person. That sentence is your starting point, and we'll keep building on. Your action step for week 7 is this. Describe your ideal customer in 3 sentences or less. Who they are, what problem they have, and why they would choose you specifically. Then share it with me, post it in the comments, send me a DM. I want to read every single one. Because when you write it down and put it somewhere public, it becomes real and it stops being an idea and starts being a direction. 3 sentences, your customer this week. Next week, week 8, value proposition. This is the sweet sauce, what makes you stand out. That's your promise to your customer. Once you know who they are, We're going to build exactly what you need to say to them and why they should believe in you, trust you, and purchase from you. I'm Courtney. We're the Underserved Economy. I'll see you next week.